Hello everyone, it's Hopes here bringing you another video on demand. This video I actually took today and I'm going to get uploaded to YouTube today as well. This is a Waycrest Manor plus 20. This is the keystone that actually got me over 3k IO. So I wanted to do a coach the coach on this one as well. Before we get started though, as I did with some of my previous videos, my start screen was something a little bit different than you guys normally see with my other videos. It goes over some of the things that's going on in the WoW and gaming community at large. With things that have been going on with Method and some of the other guilds, as well as some of the other streamers that are out there. I'm not here to place blame on what's going on. I don't know the people and don't have all of the facts, so that's not my job. My goal here is to have that slide up there to let you know that there's resources out there that are available to you to help you with things that are going on with your life. Maybe some things that you might be struggling with. I don't have all of the answers, as I said in my other videos, and I can't begin to imagine what some of these people are going through. But nonetheless, I wanted to make sure that everyone knew that there's resources out there available for you to help. And by all means, you can use me as a resource as well. I'm not going to pretend that I have all the answers and that I know everything. That is the furthest from the truth. But I can tell you that I will be a listening ear with no judgment. And as I said, I don't have all of the answers, but I'll do my best to get you in contact with someone that does. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started on this Waycrest Manor 20. So first poll, you always pull all of these together. As you can see in this group, it's not my normal push group, so I didn't have a rogue that could tricks to me. So I had some trouble actually in this dungeon keeping aggro. I mean, you saw that warrior there just popped off and did like 320k damage during that DPS. So with this one here, the blob, I always like to, typically in a normal push group, I would jump down in the corner to snap all of the ice to one side. However, this is not a push group. So I did just pulled it over to the side here just to make sure my healer had LOS for to heal me and then the rest of the group. This dungeon, depending on what door is open, can be very difficult. If the bottom right or the top right are open, it makes this dungeon pretty damn difficult. If the top left is open, then that's easy money. So this was the bottom right, and what I do now as a tank when I'm pulling this, I take the extra minute to go to the triad, the sisters. Not every group does it. Some groups will kill this blob in this hallway here. I don't agree with that at all because it makes pulling this hallway a little bit harder, especially with people who have Twilight Devastation. This is a little buggy, not as buggy as Toldagar, but nonetheless, you can pull through the walls in there, and so I don't like that aspect of it. So I always will run the first obelisk to the sisters. So if looking at the time, it didn't even take a minute. So this time, I usually go to the left as I'm entering the room, but this time I'm going to the right because this is a teaming week. So to the left, there was extra mobs there. Kill the mobs here. So something that happened here, this is extremely fresh in my mind. As we are killing these ads here, our healer ended up pulling the boss on accident. So there it goes, you can see there. So I had to go in right away, get aggro, didn't even pre-pot, so there's the hero right there. So we lost our pre-pots on this boss, which I guess going into Shadowlands isn't going to matter because you're not going to, you're going to have pots once every 5 minutes. So this is the sister. The soul bolts you will definitely want to interrupt as much as possible. This one here, you always have to keep moving. The easiest thing to do is to jump up and down as a tank. As a DPS, as a melee, you can jump up and down or run left or right. Casters, I think, have a harder time with this. Healers, I know, have a hard time with this one. Um, so, that's a tough one. So you just jump up and down or move. This one here with the jagged needles on Tyrannical hurts a lot. Our healer, Zen, is actually a really strong healer. And he was able to get us through this. I actually run with a lot of really strong healers that could heal. That I think could potentially heal through all of this. But Zen in this case was the healer that was here for this. So there was one jagged needles. This is the second one, but didn't end up going out because we got to the push point. So back on the original sister. At this point, you always want to try to push through to get the sister dead all the way. Good burst on the demon hunter there. Make sure you're always jumping up and down like I said earlier. And good boss kill. So, like I said, no matter the pathing, I always go this route. Or as far as the doors, I always go this route. That pops the witch, and then these two here. See my weak aura to move the ad, so I move them back into the corner here. Candles coming out, so move them, but that's good because they're about ready to both be dead. So it allows me to go in to get the next pull. So I don't end up doing this next pull because there was a pack walking through that I took a glance at. I didn't want to pull that pack with the double sisters, or sorry, double sisters with the double witches. So I waited for that pack to go. Then I pull this 4-pack here. The other thing we did is this dungeon, we were actually really bad on interrupts overall. Alright, so those died, so I those were dying. The pat was up there, so I ran ahead to come here into the corner. Try to get the first set of dogs. But then I saw there that the pat ended up coming down a little bit quicker than I thought. Or no, I'm sorry, a witch spawned. So I ended up grabbing the witch there. There's the dogs. And then the pack ended up coming down the stairs, so I ended up grabbing them too, which is fine because that was all part of the percentage that we needed. And since it's non-fortified, it made it a little bit easier, well, a lot of it easier to withstand and to do. On Tyrannical Weeks as a tank, you should definitely be, doing these really big pulls. There's no reason not to. So looking at where their damage at, it's okay to come out and pull up the next group. So looking, don't see any dogs because we ended up getting them both. So I just end up pulling the next pack in. Again, with teaming, so you're going to see some bigger pack pulls. The warrior ended up pulling the next group in. He was actually a little bit faster than me on doing that. Got down with those two. Pull the next. So the one thing I want to make sure that everyone knows on the Waycrest is the fire in the courtyard. So the fire in the courtyard does do damage to the mobs if you have them into the fire. It's not something that does a lot of damage, but a little damage is better than no damage to help push with your keys. So you always want to do your best to keep them in the fire. I think I actually really did a really bad job on that pack to get them in the fire, and then the pack before. But I think this next pack I do a better job at it. So get everything figured out, and then move her to the fire. So this boss hits extremely hard on Tyrannical. On Fortified, I 100% never walk him into the fire to clear stacks. I just eat it. No issues with it at all. However, on Tyrannical weeks, what I do is I always clear stacks like around 20 because it does do a burst of AoE damage. So anything more than 20, I think it's harder on the healers. So once I clear at 20, I basically just sit there for the rest of the way and take the damage. You end up total with 60 stacks total if I didn't do that. So I always do clear at 20 just to make sure it's a little bit easier on the healer. So there's 21 stacks there. I think I was telling my healer next fire that comes, I'm getting it, which is right there. There's my healing orbs to get me up, which worked out well. I did a really good job there. Our healer actually didn't even trank there. The soul ghost, those are the ones that really hurt. So didn't have to trank there, which was really good. Back at 9 stacks already. I think I get to like 46 stacks on this one. I'm not sure. The one thing I don't like about Tyrannical Week is these bosses take forever to kill. But the reason I like Tyrannical Week is because I can just pull a bunch of mobs and it doesn't like kill us as easily. So I kind of have a love-hate between Tyrannical and Fortified. 36 stacks right there. I was barked earlier. Afterwards, we talked about this. As a healer, you should only be barking your tank on the crush. The intermittent damage that comes out after that doesn't do a lot of damage to us. It's the crush that hurts us so much, and that's where we get that stacking debuff. So as a healer, use your CD, your tank CD, definitely on the crush or right before it. End up getting this guy down. So the reason why he didn't start here, like I said earlier, and the reason why I like this now is I can just pull everything to the outside and have more room, so we're not pulling anything against the wall. You should interrupt the infest cast as much as possible. You saw there that we did a really bad job at it, which means we're gonna get ads that spawn from me and then the demon hunter. So I would highly recommend someone else that looks like I didn't see the debuff on there on the frames. I highly recommend that is what gets interrupted, so you don't have to just sit here and kill this stuff that doesn't really give percent and is just a pain in your rear end. Oh wait, they do give percent. Just look on the enemy forces. Nonetheless, I would say very annoying. So coming back out. More ads. I think we're good. Pour this next pack here. And then get this next one. I tried to actually do this one plus the one, but I didn't think that that Piglet was chained with them, but they were. So this ended up being a little bit bigger of a pull than I initially wanted, but we ended up again not being fortified. You can have these bigger pulls and it doesn't hurt. Oh, excuse me. I think this is like the third or fourth YouTube video that I'm recording, so I apologize for all the yawns. Probably just a little tired here. I woke up early this morning and went on a run. Well, a walk / run with my neighbor as well. So I've been up actually for a long time. So this room here really depends on how you want to pull it. I try to pull the first 3 sets on non-fortified weeks together. If it's a fortified week, I'll just do the 2. So you can see it's a big group of people, especially with teaming. But with these AOE classes, with like the Demon Hunter, the Warrior, and the Hunter that can just spam multi-shot, I would be doing my group a disservice. I mean, you see the Hunter there, 283k, the Warrior there, 265k, and even the Demon Hunter at 182. I would definitely be doing my team a disservice if I was pulling slower like this. And especially on these high keys, you want to get as much stuff down as quick as possible. So there's this dungeon here, or that pack there, killing. Grab this last pack here, and then we should be good to go. Let me get the music going again. There we go. So this boss here is probably the easiest one out of the entire dungeon. You just hero here just to blast through it, just because hero's on CD. The hunter asked if we wanted hero there. Of course I said yes, because there's nowhere else to use it except for the last boss, as far as timing is concerned. The one thing you do here with this one, that this group did not do is CCing the ads that come in. We had an end cap, we had roots, and we had another paralysis for me. And I used my paralysis on the ad you'll see here. But we missed the root. And we missed end cap on, and a freezing trap actually. So they were just focused on DPSing the boss down instead of doing what was right and freezing the ads and stuff. The reason why you don't want these ads to come to the boss is because they actually do increase damage, or they allow the boss increase damage when he eats them. So that's why you don't do it on a tyrannical week, especially. You definitely don't want to see that happening. But as a monk, with right now I'm at 70% verse right now at 33.46 damage reduction. I can take a lot of damage as a monk. So it didn't end up hurting us too bad. It was more of hey, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing sort of deal. And see, it just popped up 38% now damage reduction. We're just focusing on boss, getting the boss down now. I thought there was a witch here, which is why I didn't pull the entire room. But looking at this now, there's no witch. So interrupt that infest. Yep, there. So I could have technically pulled the entire room. So we actually weren't in comms on this dungeon, which is a little bit weird on the 20th, but Waycrest Manor is pretty straightforward. I explained at the beginning of what I'm doing. So most people take this obelisk now and take it down those stairs. I actually don't. I'm going to take this boss and I am going to bring it into the room where that boss was. Oh, there's my trinket there. Almost died. Glad I didn't, because that would have sucked. So I took the boss back, or this obelisk to the other side, just because from a percentage standpoint, we need the pack in the corner. Plus the obelisk for the spider sits on this side of the basement. If you go down the other side, where this obelisk is, then you have to clear out that entire room, or you face the spider boss with the final boss. We're not in comms. That's not very doable. With the amount of interrupts that we need for the spider boss, especially on Tyrannical. So I always come over this way to kill, to port out here to kill this pack, and to go down this way for the obelisk. So I opened up the door there just to make sure everyone knew that this is where we're going to go down. You're going to actually you're going to see me here do a huge mistake. So I pulled this without looking and seeing where the matron was. And the matron was right there. So I ended up pulling this entire section without hero. And this was bad news bears. So there's my Fort Brew. There's a bark out now. We actually did a good job at trying to recover on this. If I would have trinketed right there, we would have been okay, I think. but I didn't. Looking for a B-res. Got it there. Got the 2 back. The matron, she's empowered somehow. So that hurts. I did use my trinket there. We ended up doing a full wipe here. Ended up being okay though, because we still end up doing the key in time. This was definitely a mistake on my part as the tank. And most of the videos I show is just pretty clean run-throughs and everything. So this one I definitely wanted to show that, you know, I'm not perfect. I was waiting there to get a second B-res, but then, like I said, it ends up being a full wipe. So 8 deaths overall. Because people came back and then I did. So you see on the screen, my fault. Didn't mean to pull her. So the captain, the only one we didn't kill for it. So watching where the matron's at to make sure we don't pull her again. So the matron's on the way back. I was kind of debating in my head if we were going to kill the captain in time, which we were not. So everyone can see the matron is there. So I'm like, we're not pulling this. So ran back up the stairs for just a moment. From a percentage standpoint, no reason ever that you guys really need to pull her. Especially if you do this route every single time. So Spider Boss, Void Weaver, just run. There's a snap point right here. I was trying to snap the spider to us, but I couldn't. So I'm usually really good at snap points, but I definitely failed the snap point here. I ran a tall 21 earlier before this key, and I hit every, except for the first one, I hit every snap point actually really well. So I was kind of disappointed that I didn't hit that snap point there. Oof. Ooh. Oh, that's right. That hunter did get that low. I forgot about that. So then again, non-tyrannical weeks. Another big pull here with that. Last week was sanguine, so I'm just used to kiting them back like this. As you can see in my head, I'm still as I'm looking at this now, as far as what I was doing, I was like, oh, I was thinking it was sanguine week because that's how I'm doing the pulls. Excuse me. And here we go for boss. So one thing I learned on this boss, he hits really hard on a Tyrannical 20. Like that strike, you saw how low my health dipped there. I never thought he hit that hard. Like any of the lower keys up until now, even like the 18s, I could just take that straight on and not have a lot of issues with it. But on a 20, Lord Waycrest, he needs the guy. He needs to be when him and the lady come. Lord needs to be the focus because he hits really hard. Like you can see there, it just it was so painful. So the lady's incoming now. There's the lady. But switching focus back to Lord, because like I said, he hurts a lot. He barked me for the last one. I think I end up trinketing this one, maybe? This next one? Yep, ended up trinketing that one. That one hurts. There we go. Boss kill. So this part here is another good snap point here. Not a technical snap point, but what you do is you grab all of them. And then you bring them up here and you have your healer up there in the top. And the reason being is once you get them all gathered up, they actually don't jump at anyone anymore when you do this. So as long as you have your healer up at the top there, everyone else just stays down and does all this DPSing, just fine, and no jumping at all. So all the healer has to do is focus heal on the tank, which is a lot easier to do than to have a bunch of damage going out to everyone at the same time, and then you having to get them all down, or have the healer heal you all up. So we get them all down here. We have 32 minutes on a 39-minute timer, so we're actually sitting really pretty with this. We end up keying it. So since we have the time here, we're not going to two-chest it. So at this point in time, since we know there's been some deaths, I just have everyone take a breather for a moment and everyone get their food buffs. Alright, everyone got their food buff. And here we go. Last boss of the dungeon. Biggest thing you have to worry about is doing an interrupt. The dark light interrupt, that's right there. That's why it's hard to do the spider with this guy. As long as that gets interrupted and the healer or the range does the fire on the ads when the ads die, this is actually a good game. We ended up missing one of the fire ads, as you'll see here. But it ended up being okay because of our damage profile and what we were doing. I mean, as a tank, there's 56k right there peaking. Our healer's doing 35, so our damage profile looked really good. We ended up missing one of the Darken cast. You'll see here towards the end, and you'll see the type of damage it goes out if it doesn't get interrupted, which was a lot. So that always needs to get interrupted. Typically, it's the tank that does it, and I just completely forgot it. So, as someone who is coaching this, I would say that the tank, you messed up, and you need to make sure you're always getting that. So there's the miss there for the light or for the fire. There's the second pot. So I ended up getting that one. Is it the next one that I miss? I don't know. I'll have to see. Nope, got that one. Maybe it's the one after that. Yep, that one. Boom. So you saw that Demon Hunter. He almost died there on that on a 20. If this was a 21 on Tyrannical, he would have been dead. So that interrupt, so important to get off. And like I said, I mean, all 4 of us missed it, but that's typically tank responsibility at this point in time to get that done. There's the key. Is a plus 20. I hope you liked the video. If you did, I'd appreciate the like. And then, as always, you can follow me on Twitch and Twitter.